Hi all. So welcome to GBO Weekly Tech Talk session. So today my topic is test automation evolution. Before moving on to the presentation, I'll tell you why I chose this topic. So I think most of you have some kind of idea what is test automation, what are the tools and what are the frameworks that we use for test automation. But most of the time you might not think about how this automation has evolved throughout this time. So I thought it would be better to do a presentation regarding that. So moving on to the content, first I'll go through what is testing about, an introduction to test automation, and the most important part, the evolution of automation, and the percentage that covers by automation, and finally the conclusion. So what is testing? First, I'll go with the very basic, with starting from the definition. So, software testing is an activity to check whether the actual results match with the expected results and to ensure that the software system is defect-free. So, in simple terms, in software testing, we are checking whether the actual results are matched with the expected results. We can divide this testing into two sections, basically manual testing and the automation testing. Moving on to the manual testing definition. So it's the process of manually reviewing and testing a software or an application for errors, defects, and for vulnerabilities. In simple terms, in manual testing, it's the process of testing the software manually without using any automation tools. For an example, let's say we need to test an application, a login application for 100 users. So in manual testing, we need to enter username and password 100 times to test that. So this has a very repetitive nature, and this made people boring and tedious. So at the same time, it's really time consuming. So this lead QA moves to manual testing to automation testing. When I talk about the automation definition, test automation is the practice of running tests automatically, managing test data, and utilizing results to improve software quality. In automation testing, we are using tools to automate the test cases. So this is the automation testing pyramid. This will represent the various type of tests and the frequencies. They should appear in a project or in a code base. We can divide this into three sections mainly. The bottom layer is the unit testing, and in API testing comes to the middle layer. In third layer, the top layer, it's GUI testing. So when it comes to top to bottom, the number of test cases are increased. It means in unit testing, we do more test cases than in GUI testing. Next, I'll move to the most important part in my presentation, the automation evolution. So talking about this timeline, the automation timeline, we can divide this into major 4 generations. First generation is record and playback. Second generation is data-driven testing. Keyword-driven testing is the third generation. And codeless automation is the fourth generation. So now I'm going to explain this generation wise. So the first generation, which is record and playback. So in here, recording a test corresponds to recording the user actions of the application on the test and automatically generates the scripts that can be played back. In simple terms, record and playback says that this tool will allow the user to record the actions and to replay them back. So this record and playback is named as linear scripting framework. Since this tool will record the steps that you are following, there's no need to write any single code to create functions. So since it's all the steps that it's record, the steps are written in sequential order and the data was hard-coded. So it's quite impossible to write simple, complex scenarios in record and playback. And Marble, Carlton Studio, Catalan Studio, Test Complete, and mainly the Selenium IDE are famous tools that are used as a record and playback. Moving on to the advantages and disadvantages of this generation. So first I'll go with the advantages. It's fast to develop. Since there's no need to do any coding, it will record the steps. It's quite fast to develop. Easy to set up and run. Talking about that, Selenium IDE, I'll take that as an example. So that tool enable you to add an extension to Chrome or to Firefox. So with that, you can record the steps that you want to automate as test cases. So it's quite easy to set up and run. Easy for the beginners and let's take time to get started. Since no need to learn any new languages or to learn any coding automation frameworks, it's quite easy for the beginners. Talking about the disadvantages, objects can be duplicated and difficult to maintain. So I'll take the same example where I want to run the login application for 100 users. So in there, objects can be duplicated. Since if there are very frequent UI changes in your project, then it's always it's more into fragile because you need to record the test cases again from beginning to the end. Tool records more than steps you take. So let's say we are writing a test case to record and playback. So there you want to check a combo box. So before you just try to click on the combo box, but the record and playback tool will record the label of combo box, and then after that only it will click on that combo box. So this tool will record more than steps you take. Then I'll move to the data-driven testing. So before that, this record and playback is an approach of hard-coding data in tests. So this was limiting the combination of different steps and making the creation of new tests harder. At this point, the second generation data-driven frameworks appeared. The definition for the data-driven testing is it's a test automation framework creating of test scripts where test data and output values are read from data files instead of using the same hard-coded values each time the test runs. So in here, the values that are required for the test are supplied by the data files. So these data files can be in different formats like CSV files, Excel files, etc. So in here, they are mainly focusing on the external data files. This picture will explain how data-driven framework works. So in the left-hand side, you can see the test data file, and the data that are in test data file will be inputted into test script, and that will run the test script will run on the application under the test. After that runs on the application under the test, it will give the actual output, and you can compare the results with the expected output, which are in test data file, with the actual output, which comes out from the application under test. So these test cases are separated from the data set. So this will help to separate the script logic and the data from each other. So it will enhance and it will enable us to easily modify the test case for a particular functionality without making any changes to the code. So let's say one has to modify the login functionality. They can do it without modifying any other feature dependent on the same code. Not only that, they can use the same script to test the login functionality for multiple users as well. The other thing is the input values are read from data files, and they are stored into a variable in test scripts. So it's like this. So test scripts access the data which are in data files via variables. Next, I'll move to the advantages and disadvantages of data-driven frameworks. So this data and verification data can be recognized in a one separate file. I have explained it previously, so it's a huge advantage. And this allows to test the application with multiple test of data values. So I'll take this previous example that 100 users, we need to test the 100 users. So we can input those 100 users usernames and password in that data file, and we can test that easily. Increase the reuse of logic. Since data are maintained in separately, it will increase the reuse of logic. So it's quite flexible because code is maintained separately and it's easy to maintain. Talking about the disadvantages, so test logic and since test logic and the data are in separate files, this is quite, the readability is getting worse because we need to find out what are the data that are useful to that script. And because they are not in the same script, and highly depends on the automation skill. Yes, to learn to work in these data-driven frameworks, you need to have automation skill. You need to learn new languages as well. So it's another drawback in data-driven testing. Difficult to maintain due to large amount of coding is needed. Because if a test case fail, you need to code it again to maintain it. Moving on to the keyword-driven testing. So I'll start with the definition. This is the third generation, and a keyword-driven framework is a collection of keywords that are used to write test scripts stepwise in the form of table, and functions are called based on keywords to complete an end-to-end flow. In simple terms, in here, the keywords are the most important thing, and each keyword represents a use action or a function. And each keyword are listed in a separate data file. So keywords are listed in a separate data file. And for each keyword, QA writes a particular code, and that will be executed when the keyword is called by an action. So moving on to the features, this is named as table-driven testing or action word-based testing. So, and this keyword-driven testing mainly symbolizes the functionality of the application. and this is mainly focusing on functions as well. So when designing the test case, you can mix and match those keywords for any number of test cases. And the other thing is, in keyword-driven testing, normally the tools that are support for keyword-driven testing, they are maintaining a keyword library to perform the actions of an application. Test Complete is a tool that supports for keyword-driven testing. So this picture will explain how keyword-driven testing frameworks work. In the bottom, the keyword-driven library is there, in the form of a Excel or a database. So this will automation scripts can read data from these data files, and they can enter the data to application under test. And once application under test execute the test case, the data will be read from that, and it will be written to the keyword library. Talking about the disadvantages and advantages of keyword-driven testing. First, I'll go with the advantages. They are highly reusable. Since data and keywords are maintained in separate files, we can use, especially the keywords, we can use the same keyword for several test cases. The other thing is, this will enhance the test development speed and the automation coverage. We can use the same keyword for different scripts, so this will automatically enhance the development speed. And it's easy to maintain the scripts. So let's say some functionality breaks, and we just have to fix that keyword which is in the keyword file. Talking about the disadvantages, since we need to learn languages to do this keyword-driven testing, since it's a script-based framework, a generation tool, there's a high learning curve. And it will take more time to create tests because we need to use coding. And since because of the coding, it takes more time to maintain the scripts as well. So data-driven testing and keyword-driven testing, the second generation and third generation, they are script-based automation testing types. So when using this script-based automation, there are common problems that we have to face. Talking about that, I've listed down 3 major problems. So since they are script-based, we need to learn the support languages. If a company doesn't have the required the resources who has the knowledge of that area, then the company need to recruit those people if they need to do that. And let's say we need to start a project with the new language, and at that stage that project that company doesn't have required resources and required tools for that, then the initial investment is high, and it will take a considerable amount of time to maintain this automated test case. So it's a automation work. I think this is a common scenario that we face it most of the time if clients are not from a very technical background. So normally users see programmers as aliens and programmers see users as wine Stone Age. But with the next generation that I'm going to talk about, the codeless automation, both project team and the clients can be in same page. Let's see how it works. So talking about the codeless automation, it's the process of creating automated tests without writing a single line of code or with minimum code. So this codeless automation will allow the QAs to automate the process of writing scripts regardless of their skill level. So here no need to learn any languages to go with this codeless test automation. And this will provide the user a user-friendly GUI and let them to record the steps. So here, like in record and playback, we can give the instructions. So the instructions that are given by the testers on a GUI level are translated into actual code by the solution, and then it will execute. So as I said before, it's a transition from record and playback generation to the codeless test automation, but it's not the same. This record and playback and codeless test automation has a very huge difference. So this codeless, talking about the aim of this codeless automation. So as you can see, this test automation evolution has come to a kind of a place where software industry pushed QAs to focus on more coding. Normally coding distracts QAs from the primary function, but with this codeless automation, we'll help them to move to their primary function. So this will save the time of testers who are mainly focusing on coding and allow them to focus on more business scenarios and the functionalities, and to enhance and bring the quality of the software without struggling on and maintaining the coding, the scripts that you have coded so far. So previously I told you there's a difference between this record and playback and codeless automation. So talking about the record and playback, it's a single mechanism. So in record and playback, it will only allow you to record the steps that you are following. And in codeless automation, it's a creation of dual creation mechanism. It will allow you to do the drag and drop functionality. So when you're automating a test case, you can drag and drop the items, and it will allow you to click modeling as well. And the other thing is record and playback only allow you to do the playback mode. That means you can play the record that you have recorded so far. But in here, in codeless automation, it will allow you to do the on-the-fly binding. So it means, let's say if something breaks, you can fix the issue right. You can fix the issue right then and there by rebinding the elements while you are executing the test case. Or else, let's say you have already automated the login functionality, and the other thing is you need to add a client to that system. So after you run the login functionality, there you can automate the client functionality in a sequential order. And in record and playback, cannot reuse elements. So once it's recorded, that's that. You cannot use that the elements that are recorded into another script. But in codeless automation, um, it will reuse it will allow to reuse the elements and the flows across several scenarios. So talking about the codeless test automation features, this will allow the conditional waiting. So let's say Selenium and Cypress as an example. So for Selenium or Cypress, if we want to wait for an element to be visible, we need to write it in a separate piece of code for that. But in this codeless automation, it will automatically wait until the element is visible without failing it. And the other thing is smart element locators. So in codeless automation, not like in Selenium or Cypress, in there we can normally we capture only one element at a time. But in codeless test automation, when it start to code the test case, it will allow you to capture more than one element at a time. So and the other thing is it will allow easy assertions. No need to write, no need to do any special things. You just have to click on the thing you need to assert, and it will automatically assert it. And the other thing is the reporting. So in codeless automation, this will automatically generate reports with details on how it occurred and screenshots and videos of bugs and so on. And it's quite easy to it will enhance the test usability and reusability and provide stability because these codeless tools are equipped with machine learning and AI capability too. So these are one of the prominent tools that are in codeless test automation. UseTrace, Perfecto, TestingViz, and TestCraft. So now I'll show you a small demo that demonstrate how codeless automation works. Sorry for that. So, talking about the advantages of this codeless test automation, it's quite simple and easy to learn because there's no need to learn new languages and about the no need to learn any frameworks. It's quite simple and easy to learn. And the other thing is anyone can review the automated test case. Since so let's think about Selenium and Cypress. Um, we need to have a kind of a knowledge. We need to learn the languages to review the test cases that the other QA engineers has automated. But in here, there's no need to learn any, because there's no need to learn any new languages. Anyone can review the automated test cases, like POs and clients can review them, and they can give their suggestions on your test cases, and basically they can automate if they want. It's easy to maintain. The edit and maintenance is quite easy, but you need to have some kind of knowledge in basic in HTML, CSS and XMath to maintain this codeless test automation scripts. Quite user-friendly when comparing with previous tools like Vichime, other generations. This will save money and time because no need to do any coding. And since within a small time we can automate a number of test cases, this will increase the testing effectiveness as well. So moving on to the disadvantages, this codeless automation do not allow customization because everything is done in the background automatically itself. So it's quite difficult to, there's no room to for the do the customization, and the entire test automation outcome comes from the automation tool. Some tools are quite difficult to set up initially, like Tosca, and it will take some time to create the scripts when comparing with the record and playback. Not 100% codeless, because this codeless test automation need to have need to learn the base, need to know the basic of HTML and CSS and XMath. It's not, we can't say it's 100% codeless. Talking about the codeless automation future. So in here, we might end up with these questions. Whether no more script-based test automation and kill script-based automation entirely. Will it kill script-based automation entirely? Actually, this codeless automation will enable the organization to perform the same automation in much less time with much less resources, which is a quick approach. And also, this will help the organizations that are feared to go with automation testing just because of the huge amount of time and required people skills, and because they think that it's quite difficult to maintain the scripts and so on. And it's difficult to achieve the results that they want to achieve within a limited time period, basically in less time. So it will never ever kill the script-based automation at this stage, but in future it could, once it will be able to overcome those disadvantages that I have mentioned previously. So Moving on to the percentages that covers by automation. So this is a most important thing that can we cover 100%, can we cover, if we use test automation, can we cover 100% of your application. So when considering the UI projects, most of the time it can cover more than 60% of test coverage. When considering the API projects, most of the time it's 80% to 100%. When considering the complex UI projects, most of the time it can cover more than 40% of the test coverage. And less UI projects, if there are projects which are a small amount of UI, then it can cover from 0 to 30% of test coverage. So finally, the conclusion. So I think this generation by generation, people move to new tools, but so to be a successful the successful test automation not only depends on the tools or framework that you choose, but it mostly depends on the testing process and the test automation team that you are selecting. These are several references that I have used to create my presentation. You can refer them if you like. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, seems like there are no questions. Thank you for listening then.